John Douglas, a former FBI special agent and criminal profiler, said that a serial killer is the human manifestation of evil in its most pure form. This reflects the chilling nature of serial killers as seen through the lens of a criminal psychologist. This is an 8-week special. Don't miss it on All Access Network Television. The opinion expressed here do not necessarily reflect the views of the network production company. Viewer discretion is advised. This program contains violent content which may be too intense for some viewers and listeners. Viewer-listener discretion is advised. This week on Serial Killers, Supernatural and Murderers.
Hey everybody, it's Lee Triana, and I'm excited to be here tonight with our special hosts. We've got Blaine Rohan and Thomas Gormley. There's
Hello,
Blaine. What in the world? You shaved?
Yo, I was trying to trim it yesterday, and that raggedy piece of crap trimmer I got caught beard and about ripped my chin off. I said, screw this mess. Trip, comb.
Babe, I love it. You look like a baby face.
I know.
You do.
I like my beard.
Me too.
You just like being burly. That's all.
There you go. He likes that.
It's just a lesson for me to be careful when I'm trimming.
Yeah, just don't use a cheap ass old trimmer. That's the lesson I got for you.
It still looks good.
We're going to have a great show tonight. You're probably going to see my cat walking around. She's as bad as Luna. She's here. She knows. Here she comes. She wants to see you. Come on.
Looking for the spotlight. Yeah.
My little fart blossom. That's her.
Your head.
So
here we go. There. Now, say
hello.
She's got a play date. She's got a play date soon.
Oh.
Yeah, she's going to be with Chucko and Peaches. They're Frenchies too. One's an English bulldog, and so she's going to have a play date with them. And they're all going to have the Zoomies go in. We're going to have to find an open space because they're going to be zipping and rooting and rutting and carrying on.
Yes, they are.
Let me tell you a quick story about Luna. She got the Zoomies the other day, and she was trying to run to Gwen. She was trying to run to Ginger because Gwen was on the phone with me, and they all thought she was at the door. Well, she started to jump and zoom, and I don't know how she kicked off of the big sofa. I was trying to sit down on the love seat, and she ended up headbutting me in my right butt cheek and almost knocked me on the floor. I was like, what is wrong with this dog? So she's feeling her oats. I poured some juice tonight, and she thought it was wine. So, she was all excited thinking she was going to sneak out. You know how she does my wine. So anyway, we're surviving over here at the doggy house, the dog pound house over here with the babies. How are you guys doing tonight? Are you ready to discuss the grotesque, vicious Gary Ridgway?
I've got a lot of information on this dude.
Yeah.
And
I think we should take turns because I have not done any research. I want to know it all. So we're going to take turns with the history and then the profiler. And Gwen and I are going to be in mutual discuss together. But I want you to know we have been able to pick out people that we see that are nefarious minded people. They've been popping out to us. Now that we're aware, you could feel the energy, just like you were telling me, Tom. You could feel the energy on them, and I'll just see them. I did this because you told me, and Blaine, you've been telling me, it's good to have your shield up, but you also need to know what's around you. So basically, I've got an energy sonar when we're walking around, and I saw this one guy, and I went just like that. And in my head, I said, "I see you. I see you." Like that. And buddy, he turned his head and was moving on. Gwen and I saw one together, didn't we, girl? And this is not the one we saw in Savannah. We saw another one.
Yeah. We've seen several recently.
As you guys are picking up on it, I think that's important. But I think the people that are watching and why we do this show, they become more aware. Not only with the people around them, just we were talking about before, because a lot of the serial killers we talk about their childhood and what they went through and how to avoid things for that, just looking at it and recognizing it. But just really quickly, personal, I just had a birthday. And
happy birthday to you.
Unfortunately, I was sick for my whole birthday, just laying there on the couch watching movies. But I realized something really cool. One of my favorite TV show serial killers, Dexter. You guys ever watch that?
I love Dexter.
Love it.
So that's a serial killer.
The main actor
need to be killed.
Yeah, the main actor Michael C. Hall and I share a birthday. We're the same exact age too.
Right on.
Wow.
It's just one of those weird things, and I was like, why would I be excited about a guy that plays a serial? But
he's a wonderful actor.
Yeah,
he's a wonderful actor.
So, a lot of 6 Feet Under, all those different shows, and he's been on a lot of good ones with thank you, Kathy. And but been really sitting there thinking about doing the show tonight and getting a little bit more into Ridgway's head. And I think Blaine and I and you guys, I think this is going to be really good. And I'm excited to discuss it and maybe help some of our listeners out there see what, the normal everyday guy out mowing the lawn would know better. So.
Blaine told me something. He called me the other day. We started talking a little bit about it, and I had another call, so I didn't get to finish. But Blaine, tell him what you tell the audience.
Okay, what I had found out. All right, Gary Ridgway was married 3 times. His third wife, they met at the function called Parents Without Partners. He met like at a dance. Well, she had a daughter, and he actually told her daughter how to defend herself against somebody attacking them. And this is the whole time.
He should know.
Oh, should he ever? This is the whole time all this shit was going on. Then I got some other stuff that's going to freak people out. And I will warn you, this is going to be graphic tonight. It is going to be uncomfortable for some people to hear the words, but they're going to hear them tonight. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to sugarcoat tonight. I'm going to let it know how this guy did. And you want me to start out, Thomas, and tell how he started out? Or do you want to?
Well, no, let's go into a little bit of the we'll get back to his growing up. I think a lot of it has to do with his MO and how he came about. Really, we'll circle back to that one because I think it'll all come together really well. So
yeah.
Oh, early days. What happened to this man? Why is he? What happened?
We'll get to the early days. I think really, you got to go to the point where, like I was talking about, he was just an everyday guy, but really deep down, this guy was a sociopath and he hit it so well. And the thing is, what we'll tell you is this guy, his IQ was probably in the 80s. He wasn't really that smart.
He was almost put into a special school. Yeah. His mother wanted to put him in a special school because he was so low IQ.
Yep. Yeah, and the thing is, but that's a lot of his trauma too. Was he was so afraid. He even said in an interview, "I was so afraid they were going to put me on the short bus."
Yep.
His exact words.
Yeah.
But the problem was, he had a brother,
He had two
Greg
brothers.
Ridgway. Well, Greg
Yeah.
Ridgway was like the smarter one, the one that got all the accolades, and he had to compete with that. A lot of times that
big,
causes
tall,
animosity.
athletic. And his brother was like big, tall, and athletic, and Gary was short and dumpy.
Yeah.
His brother was built like a basketball player. He was built more like a wrestler. So he was like a short, dumpy kid. It got picked on quite a lot by everybody. But I'm going to go back to his youth yet. Can I say how he got his distaste for women?
Yeah, his big distaste. We're really going to just pick at his youth and all that, and how it corresponds to how he came about. So we'll hit at that. His distaste for women really started back in the day. His father was very misogynistic and all that. He was a bus driver.
Oh Lord, another one of those.
Yeah, and Gary be on the bus with them, and they drive by all the the ladies of the night right on the roads, or the runaways, in that CSAC area or whatever they were, just driving by, and you see all the prostitutes, and he like, oh, that's terrible, and say all nasty things about it. And this is what he hears as he's growing up.
This gets a little bit more into it when he goes into the Navy during Vietnam. He's stationed at Subic Bay in the Philippines, where he got his very first taste of prostitution.
Yeah.
Well, he got himself a couple of prostitutes that gave him gonorrhea and chlamydia.
Yeah.
So he had a distaste for prostitutes.
Yeah.
Especially Filipino, and that'll come back to play later because
Boy, wouldn't that be great for me?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the thing is,
But I'm a bigger girl. I'm 5'9", so maybe he wouldn't want to mess with me. But
no, most
that
of the ones
caused
he
his
messed
first
with were
divorce.
short and weak.
He got married before he got into the Navy, and because of the gonorrhea thing, was really what led to him getting his first divorce from his first wife.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she started cheating on him as soon as he left to go to Subic Bay. So, it had that part. But it comes back to story later. One of his victims was actually a Filipino prostitute in Washington.
Yeah. Yep.
One of the victims he killed.
So that's how it started, killing prostitutes, and we started seeing a pattern, right?
Well, he hated that because he hated the prostitutes because they gave him the 2 sexually transmitted diseases.
Did he have them at the same time?
Yes. Yes, he did.
I got something in my eye. Y'all excuse me.
He got one from one and the other from the other one. And he didn't know that those things could actually happen because he was never taught that kind of stuff growing up.
No.
My mom was,
Yeah, you're exactly right. Let's really jump into it because I think a lot of it, I want to try to avoid it, but we really got to get into his childhood because it just says a lot. Every psychological thing you could look at, this guy was hit with, and even the ones that the profilers even put together in the psychologists. So this guy had like every red flag you could think of. But him growing up, the household, the parents argued all the time. There was always arguments. His mom was very domineering. I think that's another big thing. We remember that with Ed Gein. His mom was very domineering. That same type of upbringing, and the mom and the dad fought all the time. So that discourse and all that causes that craziness, and his father being misogynistic. That doesn't help.
His mother was very domineering, and she would always tell him that you're useless. I can't believe you came out of me. I can't believe you're my child.
Yeah.
And her biggest vanity was her beauty.
Yeah.
And Gary at one time in an interview had said, says, what'd you think about your mother? Says, I hated my mother because she was so beautiful. I only saw her as a sex object.
Yeah.
And I wanted to hurt her. I didn't want to kill her. I wanted to cut her in slices where it would ruin her beauty.
Yeah.
That's what he wanted to do.
Well,
one of
the big things is for the youth, is the psychologist McDonald came up with the McDonald triad, which shows if kids are wet the bed into their teens, if they light fires, if they're harmful to animals, and Ridgway hit every one of them.
Yeah, he did.
But the part with his mother is he was wetting the bed, and she would go in, even as a teenager, she would like clean his penis like over and over and over again, like right there. And that caused him after a while to get aroused. So he had this relationship with his mother of, turned on by her, but wanting to kill her all at the same time. It's that Oedipal complex that, that we
Is that
hear
that's
about.
the Oedipus? You said Oedipus complex.
Yeah, it's the son, the mom and son kind of love relationship thing, whatever. But and that's crazy. I think some of the prostitutes he killed, he might have had his mom in mind, or, of course, what Blaine talked about, his Vietnam time, the hatred of that, and just all in general,
That's why he had a distaste for women, because of his mother and the prostitutes that gave him the STDs.
Yeah.
So he had it in his mind he was going to kill every prostitute he could kill. He was convicted of 49 slayings.
Yep.
He admitted to doing over 70. He wanted to kill 100 people. He wanted that record. He wanted to be the best serial killer that anybody could be.
Yeah.
He was ambitious.
Yeah, well, that's the competition came in with his brother.
Yeah.
He felt inadequate. Yeah. Everybody was better, so he had to do something infamous, I guess, to be better. I don't know.
And this is funny because we're going to throw Bundy in here a little bit too, but he wanted more than Bundy had, and Bundy was credited with 36 and probably up to.
Yeah, but there's so many more. Yeah.
Ridgway was the same way, and I tell you what, Ridgway, for a serial killer, for somebody with a low IQ like he did, was actually not that stupid, because his first 5 victims all ended up in the river, in the Green River. After that, he started moving bodies anywhere within an hour to an hour and a half of where he lived at. And this is, I'm going to go ahead and bring this up now. 30 of the women he killed were in his house in this nice neighborhood. I mean, real nice neighborhood. He would back his truck up, bring the bodies in.
Luna, stop. I'm sorry, my dog's eating the desk.
Okay.
She's excited about Gary Ridgway.
I'm sorry. I'm just looking like I'm drunk over here, Blaine. I'm sorry. I'm embarrassed. Quit it, Luna.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's okay.
No, you're right. You're right. And he actually murdered 30 of his victims in his house.
In his house.
In his house, in his bedroom room. This gets better. His third wife lived in that house in the same bed that he killed 30 women in. And she didn't know. She didn't know.
Can you imagine her trauma?
Well,
my God.
The funny part of it is,
I wish we could get her on the show, because I'd like to know if she experienced any paranormal things. Okay. Because these women are killed in that very bed. What's keeping her from being killed?
Gary Ridgway actually said that the 30 women he killed in his house haunted him every day in that house. Every day. And if you guys want to watch a good documentary on Gary Ridgway, it's free on Tubi. It's called For the Sins of My Father, the Green River Killer. It's a 2.5 hour detail. I mean, it goes into detail why he did this, why he did this, why he did this. And you're sitting there watching. Jennifer watched it with me last night and goes, holy shit, this dude was psycho. But the way he did it is like he held a job. Okay, and this is funny. One of the profilers actually got his profile wrong when he first profiled him. Said that he was a drunk, that he smoked cigarettes, which he neither did either one of. If he drank, it was barely, and he never smoked. They said he was a loner and could not keep a job. Well, Gary had a job at the Kenworth plant painting trucks for 30 years. So he kept a steady job. And he would, and it's funny because he had already killed probably like 36, 37 women. And then when he met his last wife, he had stopped for a while because she filled a void that he didn't have because his first wife left him. His second wife left him. They had a son together, and she left him. So that's why another reason it sprung him into killing more women. And he actually said that he was going to kill at least one every other week. Now, his first 5 victims were all within, a mile of each other on the Green River, thrown in the water, and 2 little boys found the first victim.
Oh, God.
They were
That's
looking over a bridge and saw what they thought was a mannequin. So they come off the bridge and went down and checked it out. And one of the little boys almost touched the lady. She was 16 years old. Oh, and the oldest woman he killed was 39, and the youngest he killed them between 15 to 39. But that was the only older one, the 39. Most of them were 22 and younger.
Oh my goodness!
And when the boys went down to reach for it, one of the other boys stopped and says, "No, that's a body." And they ran, got on their bikes. This is 1982, so there's no cell phones. They ran home and called the police. And then when they found the first victim, they found a second victim right away, and then 3rd, 4th, and 5th within a day of each other. He had killed 5 women in like 7 days.
Yeah.
And 5 women were within a mile radius of each other on the river.
Oh my goodness!
That's how he got the name Green River Killer. But yeah, dude, he and it is funny. He did nothing but strangle every victim. He killed them with his own bare hands or choked them to death.
Thomas, why do you think he would do that? Why was this his MO? I mean, he used his bare hands to do it. He didn't use a tourniquet thing or nothing.
Yes, he did.
So
He did
what?
use tourniquets as well. But he
So what
strangled
do you
them.
think, Thomas?
He started off using his hands, but then some of the women were getting away, and he needed something that had more control. So he started using ligatures, those types of things a little bit later. But I think his MO that way, he needed control. He didn't have control in his life, and he felt the easiest people to control, the forgotten ones, the prostitutes.
Yep.
So that's why a lot of it was his MO. It wasn't always, because of his hatred for women. He just thought them as an easy target. It was almost like, again, Sam Little, the most notorious serial killer with the most kills, prostitutes and homeless, just like Gary Ridgway was doing, with the prostitutes or runaways or anything like that. So, because people would forget about him and he could do what he wanted to do. So I think the strangulation was more of a personal thing too, more to get back at his mother, up close and personal and control.
Yeah, and there was one woman he killed that was not a prostitute. She worked at a bar, had a 5-year-old daughter.
Yep.
And he killed her just to kill her. Yeah. That's what he said. I said, I killed her just to kill her because I wanted my numbers to go up.
Yeah.
Would you guys like to see a picture of him?
Yes, please.
Yeah, he's a goofy looking bastard. Look at him. He looks like he's okay. I'm sorry. I'm gonna use the word. He looks like
that's the beady eye look right there.
Yeah, he looks like he's inbred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks like he should be playing a banjo or something.
Yeah.
Living in
That's him.
swamps of Kentucky.
Yeah. Yeah, that's enough of that face, but yeah.
Do you have any pictures of of his victims? Like, do they look alike, or he just didn't care? Or
no, he had a variety. Okay, there was.
They're more young.
Yeah, most of them were young. He killed white women. He killed black women. He killed Hispanic women. He killed Filipino women. Well, one Filipino woman. But most of his were prostitutes, and they were 15 to 22 years old. And he preyed on those. And it's funny, he actually got arrested in early 1982 for prostitution, for picking up a prostitute. He said, yeah, I use prostitutes, but I wouldn't kill them. Now he did get caught before he got caught. And they put him through this whole rigmarole, and they searched his house and could not find any evidence there. So they let him go.
Yeah. Yeah, he was arrested several times. He was He was a prime suspect for a while, but at the time, they did swab him, hoping futuristically that they'll be able to be something done. That was like his downfall later on when DNA came along. But
let me tell you,
what was the guy's name? The Atlanta child killer. Remember they arrested him and turned him loose too.
Several times. Now this is what's funny. What actually caught Gary Ridgway was one of his victims. I hate to. I'm gonna be graphic. He did stick a stone in this woman's vagina, and that's what preserved his DNA inside of her because the rock wouldn't let it out. I told you this is going to get graphic because this guy was, sicko. And
so that's how they got his DNA.
That's how he got his DNA. On that first time he got arrested, one of the cops was smart enough to swab him, get a spit sample from him.
Yep.
That was before the swabs came out. He made him spit in a bottle, and he sealed it off and kept it away for a while. And then,
they knew. I guess they were having a hard time trying to put it on him, right?
Well, this is the funny part. There was this taxi driver that got himself really involved in this case. And he looked like a prime suspect because he worked in the area where all the prostitutes worked. He drove them places. And when
So he knew these girls. Okay.
He knew every one of them. He has taken them places. And this sick joker was so enamored. This is funny. They did an interview with him, and this guy asked him point blank. He goes, "Did you kill this woman?" He says, "I would have loved to kill. Wait a minute. I would have loved to call the guy that killed him." So I was like,
I saw that one. I saw that one. And it was very obvious that whoops. Yeah.
It's like the way he said it. It's like, then he sued the Seattle Police Department for harassment.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, okay, you know too much stuff about this case. You look like a prime suspect. Really, you do. And they got in his truck and they found like stuff of the prostitutes, like their ID cards and their underwear and different things like that. I was like, okay, me being like I am, me and Thomas is like, first thing I'm looking is like, okay, is this dude killing him? Because he makes it look like he did so much. And you're like, and then when they figured out he was just some Fruit Loop that wanted attention.
Yeah.
I'm like,
but that's the problem when you put this stuff into the news and all that, the weirdos come out of the woodwork.
And this one was
and I hate when they glorify it on the news.
Thank you.
An ongoing thing going on.
Thank you.
You're putting stuff out there and you're creating these people to come out to create more problems for the police or the profilers to catch these people. Stop glorifying this stuff and putting all over the news. Yeah, I know this type of stuff sells, but guess what? You're getting more people killed.
Yeah,
they don't care.
You are. Because the whole time they had this dude on surveillance. Yeah. And Gary was out there just having free will. Yeah. Let's go kill another 5 or 6 girls. Okay. Yeah. I won't kill for this week. So I'm going to go take 3 or 4 girls. And one of the females he killed, he took her out in the woods near SeaTac, which is Seattle, Tacoma.
Yeah, that's the main strip. That's like the main
airport.
Yeah. Yep.
And so he took this girl out in the woods and they agreed upon a price. And he waited till a plane flew over, then choked her to death. While the plane was like, nobody could hear her. And then he left her right there where he killed her. That was one of his spots. He had several.
Yeah. Well, he had some of them because he started getting into necrophilia. He would go back to the body. But that's where the other thing comes in is
that seems to be a common thing for serial killers, that necrophilia, right?
It actually is rare. It's actually rare. Yeah. But the thing is the crazy part is if you look back from last week when we talked about Bundy, remember I mentioned the name Robert Keppel?
Yeah. Yes.
He was the same guy that worked on the Bundy case, worked on this case because they're all in that Washington area, those cases.
Poor guy.
He was the one that went and Bundy got a hold of him, and Bundy helped do a profile on Ridgway, which he said Ridgway.
Wait a minute, Blaine. Hold on. I know you're excited. We gotta hear it.
He said that the killer is going back to the bodies. Yes. So they would stake out these wooded areas to try and wait for Ridgway. because he knew he was going back doing necrophilia like Bundy did.
Yep.
So all in the same area. They're almost like similar, you know, in that part of it. And the funny thing is, you know, Bundy was put to death before they caught Ridgway, but his call on Ridgway was exactly right. It was like one of the
He
better
called him to a T. He said that Ridgway would be married, he would have children, and he had a steady job. That's Bundy said all of those things, and he's going back to the bodies.
Yeah. Yep.
And this
So
is
How did they catch him, guys?
They had agents, like, you know, in these areas where they're finding the bodies, just, you know, staying and hanging out. So, wait.
Yeah. This is funny, though. When Gary got caught, he told the police, he said, I'll take you where several bodies are. And
yeah, I saw that.
It was a field trip. You get, if you watch that documentary, The Sins of My Father, The Green River Killer on Tubi, it shows him in the car, and his face is lit up every time he goes, stop here. This is so-and-so. Stop here. This is so-and-so.
Yeah. They were letting him relive his ecstasy by taking it. You know? And he should have just pulled the map out and let the people find him. But they brought him with. That's, you know.
Yeah.
It's weird how, you know, he commits all these crimes. It's almost like they become a celebrity, and then they get treated that way too. It's like the law enforcement. No, don't be driving him around. You're letting him relive.
Yeah.
The murders.
And you can tell too. He's like
getting off.
Oh, he was getting jollies off of it. And then he gets to go back to his cell and he relive it again. And then they take him out the next day and then he goes show them 5 or 6 more bodies.
Yeah. Well, that was the same thing
with kidding me?
With Bundy, when Bundy was helping with the case, and they like file stuff there, and Bundy actually took some of the stuff back to his cell. He stole it to masturbate to.
Yeah.
Are you freaking serious?
No.
Oh my God.
But it's the same thing. Remember, I told you that Bundy helping was the reason why they created Hannibal character for Silence of the Lambs. He did the same thing. He would take the Buffalo Bill stuff and he'd get all excited and all that. So in the cell. So it's all based off true stuff that actually happened. So,
Now, I want to tell you something that my dad told me when we were in the Okefenokee Swamp area.
Yep.
I'm going to try to make this short, but I want you to get where it's coming from. I had been working on I've been working on the reservation some. I was a kid. We were at Ross Allen's Reptile Institute, and I was working with the Seminole tribe that was connected to the Institute. It was all right there together because Ross and Dad would learn the old ways of the Native American, the indigenous people about animals and try to scientifically match it up.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about, how do you approach, because we had snakes that came out of the wild. They weren't born in captivity.
Yeah.
Our stuff we had to tame because now you can find all kinds of snakes and they eat, frozen mice and whatnot. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with people that have pets like that, but I'm just letting you know mine came from a different standpoint, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, back to it. They were telling me, animals don't kill for fun. They kill to eat, even snakes. Okay.
Yes.
And we have seen some that were like, there was a deer that would go around in a circle and walk around because something was wrong with it mentally. And it would just walk in this mile circle, and one leg was starting to get messed up, and everything was wrong with that deer. Mm-hmm. But we had a couple others that had some mental problems. But for the most part, the only animal that we know of that kills for fun, that is truly sick, is human. We are the nastiest, most complicated animal on the planet.
Yes.
And we were, I don't know what happened. I was doing something and I heard Dad say that. I was in the kitchen. I can't remember what was said. And then I remembered. And it's just so interesting that here we are doing the show. Yep. This has been a long 8 weeks. I guess I need to change that, eh? we're going to keep going.
We need to remove that because this show has become so effective.
I'll go change it.
Yeah, please.
It's all right. I got the thingy. I'll do it. I'll get it. But the thing is, I I really
Yeah.
think that we need to take a look real quick at, I don't know that anybody knows how a person becomes this kind of a killer or why, but we do see similarities with their parents and how their parenting affects these children.
Yeah.
Whether they're extremely smart, like Ed Kemper, and totally abused and humiliated and emasculated, and all these words, that would happen to the horrible life of that poor child. And now Gary Ridgway, we're in the same, but well, Ed Gein.
Yeah.
So
I would put
I
Gein
feel
and Kemper in about the same mentality state, because both of them were just barely above.
No,
wait a minute, Kemper was a
Ridgway.
genius.
No,
was.
Ridgway and Gein were that
Gein
lower
were-
IQ level.
Yeah, they're a little on the
That's what I'm
downside.
talking
Ed Kemper's a genius. I'm
Yeah.
trying to
Bundy
remember
was a
which
genius.
other one was a genius.
Bundy was a genius. He
Jeffrey
was very
Dahmer.
Yeah.
Dahmer was smart.
Dahmer
Then
had
you get
the highest IQ, I think,
yeah.
of them.
Then you get to people like Henry Lee Lucas was dumb as a rock. His oldest tool was dumb as a rock.
Otis Toole looked like dumb as a rock.
Huey Gaskins, dumb as a rock.
Dude, he looked like, you look at a picture of
He was.
dumbass in the dictionary, there was him right
Yeah.
there on the front page, because he looked stupid as, and I'm sorry, that's an insult to rocks.
Well, Jack the Ripper showed signs of being genius, but the rejection that they feel is the same
Yeah.
because people didn't understand then. The genius killer, Edward Roloff, the man of two lives or so, during the mid 19th century, he was one of Ithaca's most infamous serial killers.
Yeah.
And he was known to be a genius, but he was still rejected and abused. So I just feel like we should be an advocate somehow with like the megaphone for child services and counseling and things like that, because how many children have been, I watched some things on YouTube lately about children that are in the home and the mother has stabbed the father and the baby sister to death, and the child's covered in blood coming out. What in the hell is going to happen to that child? And it's just going to get lost in the system. Nobody's going to ever put the pieces back together for them, and yet society will reap what they sow by not trying.
Nobody wants to step forward and all that.
Can you guys see this?
Yeah, people just let people just let stuff happen. Let me just say this really quick, guys.
Yeah, that's the piece.
So let me just tell you, society just lets this stuff happen. People are lazy. They don't want to do their job. They let these kids fall for the wayside, and this is how they grow up. Unfortunately, I have a family that are teachers, and they teach these special needs kids, and these kids come in from abusive homes and all that, and these are the things. It's almost like you can look at them. There's a future serial killer. Okay, what are we going to do about it? What can we do about it? I think people that watch this show, you got to be more aware of your family. It may not just be your kids. It may be your sister, your brother's kids. You're seeing something going on. Not everybody's perfect. But we have to be there as a community, as the village. We got to raise our kids as a village.
Well, I really feel like we need to do something for our youth and for people that are abused. As a society, I would love to see, even with animals. Yeah. Because they're the ones that catch it from people that are crazy.
Yeah.
It
is. It's that, when you get crazy like that.
Don't even get me started on that.
People are just truly evil. I think the first thing they go at is the most lovable thing. The most innocent thing, which is an animal.
Yes.
What is an animal going to do? It's so innocent. And they just kind of mark up from there and go further and further, because they say, the animal's too easy. Now I'm going to go to a human and all that. And more of a challenge, they think, in their heads.
And that's what they work themselves up to. Yes. Like, okay, now.
All right. Let's ask the panel something. I got to know. I was across the street. I was at the house that I grew up in. I was 16 or 17. And the little girl, she was about 4, not directly across the street, but diagonal. And she had the most beautiful locks, curly locks, beautiful child. And I'm hearing this kitten screaming, and I hear this girl laughing, and it sounds horrible. You know, I could tell the cat's this kitten
Oh.
is in peril. And I go running over to see what the heck's going on. And she had taken her dad's fishing lure that has all the hooks on them, not just one, and pulled it because it has feathers on it. And the cat got it caught in its mouth, and she's dragging it by it. The cat screaming.
Oh God.
So I took the cat, the rod, and the girl, knocked on the door and told them what had happened. And they're spanking her, dragging her in the house. And I said, "You're not getting this cat back." And I took it over to the house and used the metal cutters and cut one of the little hooks, that hangs down, so I could slide it out. One had gotten caught in the roof of its mouth. And I did all I could for that cat. I ended up taking it to the vet, and they were able to do what they needed to do and then find it a home. But holy crap, she's 4 years old, and she thought that was fun. And, you know, the things that she's done since is just, so I don't know how I should react about people that, you know, maybe that was a cry for help that I needed. Should I have done some? I wanted to whip her ass. Let's just say it.
But then again,
How dare you?
I don't know if that her creating
I
that
don't think it would be
violence against the
received
cat,
right.
maybe it's her way of, okay, my parents always beat my ass all the time. I want control, so now I'm going to beat the ass of the cat.
I know it. I didn't know what to do.
There's a fine line with discipline and all that. Now, if you just go haul off and beat your kid without an explanation, you're screwing their mind up. They're getting the wrong idea.
Right. You have to be consistent, and you have to explain.
Well, you did this, and this is what the consequences is. So it's not just haul off and beat their ass, or just beat them up because you came home drunk or something like that.
Right, right.
You're mad at them, and you're in the wrong frame of mind, which a lot of these kids go through that become serial killers.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know what I should have done different, but I think of that child and I think of that moment, and I really feel like between what I was learning about animals at that time of my life and then what I experienced with that one little girl. I mean, she's so beautiful, and I would have never expected her to be in that situation.
But that's what serial killers are. We look at them. People didn't expect Gary Ridgway. You know, I know he's a goofy looking guy, but he just like every other dad out mowing the lawn, whatever. We don't know.
Well,
what I'm saying is, you have to be aware of the energy that's around you, because when you're that evil, I don't think you could give off normal energy. You could pretend, but it's
you can try to pretend for sure.
Yeah. You got to get that heebie-jeebie feel. No, okay, this isn't right. And people need to learn that a little bit more and be more aware of their surroundings.
Trust your gut, because your gut.
My mom always told me.
Yeah.
Mom always said you can outthink a lunatic. That's what she called them. You can always outthink a lunatic. Just calm your mind if you're in a situation, and God will lead you the right way. You'll see their weakness and then exploit it. And I swear that's the only reason why I survived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason. I don't know why in the world my mom felt like she needed to tell me this. And she said it more than once.
Yeah.
And at the moment I was in that situation, I could hear my mom talking to me. And that's what I did.
Yeah. It is, you know, in a crisis situation like that, just so people know, the way to keep yourself safe, you got to humanize yourself. Which I know Lee did in that situation. But when you humanize yourself, if you could find out who your captor's name is, again, when you have the name, you have power, you humanize it. But also, most of these people that do this stuff, they had trauma too, but it's more of a control thing. So if you allow them to have control, they take their mind off of you and they feel like they're in control. And you kind of build them up and make them feel good about themselves to the point, and then use your name. You get to the point where you could rip the rug right out from under them and protect yourself. So there's a lot to it. And I know we'll have an episode about that soon to help
We
everybody.
will. We will. When I went out the front door
Yep.
of that apartment when I was abducted, something said, turn around. And I looked and I went around the back side of the apartment. When they came out, they went running straight ahead. They never once thought that I doubled back.
Yep.
I went behind the apartment and out that way. They never did figure it out. They never did. And I'm hoping that the people listening will take that tip to heart. I have seen so many shows where here comes the victim running out the front door and they get chased down. Well, if you've gone out of their eyesight, they don't know how fast you've run. They don't know where you are. They're lost in their confusion, and it gives you a better chance to get away.
Yep.
So I probably will do something different if I get to that situation again. God help me never to.
No.
But I feel like that's one of the reasons why I feel led to do this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because as we talk about each one of these, I notice little things. And, the little girl that was Gary Ridgway's stepchild, that he felt like he needed to protect and was trying to teach them how to survive somebody like him.
Yeah.
There was still a human in there somewhere.
But he's telling her what the women he was killing didn't do, that they should have done, that they could have escaped him. He knows how they could get away with it.
See, that's just as valuable. Yeah, that's just as valuable as Ted Bundy profiling him. I mean, that's gold. And no wonder the FBI is going back into the prison system continuously, interviewing these people, getting to the bottom of it. I know they're getting traction in how to find killers, but are they getting somewhere on how to treat the victims? I know there's victims. I'm getting chills all over me. I know I'm supposed to be talking about this, but there's victims that victims advocate groups and things like that you can get some reimbursement and whatnot. But
we
need to do
Look,
something.
Lee, you're talking right now. They go in to interview all these serial killers to get their mind. But guess what? You know what they need to do even more? Just like we're talking about now. The ones that survived them. How did they get away?
Yes.
What was the frame of mind at the time? And that's another thing, is how can we avoid? If we can't stop people becoming serial killers, we could help people avoid, because it is said, in your lifetime, I've said it before, you're going to come into 33 serial killers in your lifetime, whether it be directly or indirectly. So, and you have to be.
See, that's what I'm talking about. See?
Yeah.
I think the four of us on the next episode, we should take a person that was a victim that survived.
Yeah.
Okay.
And break down all four of us, and we can take turns and let's talk how they survived.
Yeah.
Can I bring one up?
Please.
Gary Ridgway, the one that got away from him, the way she got away from him is, of course, he did like to have the sex act before he killed them and after he killed them. Okay. He got his pants around his ankles, and she bit the shit out of him.
Good.
Grabbed her purse and ran. And that's how she got away from him. He said, Gary's own words was, I was at a disadvantage. I had my pants around my ankles. I said, that was your own stupidity, dumbass. But she got away. She survived. And she now is a former prostitute, and she helps counsel people that are wanting to be prostitutes or already prostitutes. She's taking them off the street and counseling them and telling them there's other ways to do things. You don't have to use your body for money. You've got
I'm actually looking her up to see if maybe we can contact somebody like that.
I'd like to at least get her information as far as what her programs are. Where did she end up after this? And Bundy had somebody that got away.
Yeah, that girl in the parking lot.
That was out of a mall. So bless her.
I tell you how intertwined Bundy and Ridgway are. You realize that Bundy's the woman that he worked with at the suicide hotline that wrote the book about him, Ann Rule, actually wrote a book about Ridgway also.
Yes.
Oh, really?
So I guess that area of nearby and familiarity. you know, and the Robert Keppel being part of it, you know,
Yep.
just the BSU and their interview of all them. It's so weird that both of them are considered very prolific serial killers, like very high numbers. But the difference is Bundy was so intelligent. Ridgway was not. But the thing was, is Ridgway got away with it longer. It's almost like sometimes you could be. I hate to give it that positive, but sometimes you're too smart for your own good. So, I've seen some people that are just totally stupid get away with so much stuff. You know,
Ridgway,
they're just dumb. You know, they just blow it off.
He said it himself.
Like
he says, I don't know why I got so lucky because he even said, I'm not the smartest guy in the world.
Yeah.
But I knew enough to, okay, stop. And they called them dump sites. Stop using the river as one of his dump sites. He had like 7 different dump sites that he used. And the reason he knew of all these places, because he was an avid outdoorsman. He would take his second wife, who had the little boy with, and he would take them to places later on that would become his dumping grounds. And his ex-wife even said that they go out in the woods and have sex in the woods. Some of the same places where he dumped his bodies.
That's what I was going to ask. Did they do it right there on top of them?
Yeah, it's crazy, but it was so weird.
In there. It was.
My God.
Like his third wife.
Ridgway's psychosis and just him trying, you know, the antisocial, all these crazy things. And, you know, his first wife, he was a military guy. And then his second wife, he became very religious.
Yeah.
He was very, very religious, like Bible thumping religious and all that, but still sleeping with the prostitutes and all that. It was just he had such shit going on in his head.
Bad. And
unknowing who he was. He never figured out who he was because I think that psychosis is what he was. And he didn't want to be that way, I think, deep down, but he couldn't get away with it. He tried to be different things and it never helped him.
He started his killing spree in 82 after his second wife. Okay, he had tried to strangle her. It got into the S&M and all that weird stuff. And she said, no, I ain't doing none of that bullshit. And she divorced him and took his son. And that's when he went batshit crazy and that's when he killed that 16-year-old girl like 2 months after she had left him. Found her on the side of the road, and all she was trying to do, she was a runaway from her house because her stepfather had sexually molested her. And she said, well, if I'm going to have sex, I'm going to get paid for it or some stupid thing like that. And he picked her up 16 years old.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, but he was very deviant. Gary Ridgway, just him growing up, the sex side of things is all the women he was married to. They even all said in interviews that he wanted to have sex at least 2-3 times a day.
Yeah, it was a nymphomaniac.
Yeah. So just over and over, and that leads to that. And you know, it is that frame of mind. You know, I know those types of things is having that control or having that feeling or not having love and just wanting to get that feeling. And it's that's how
this is what I think is funny too is Gary's intelligence. He kept the same truck, his 74 Ford pickup truck, maroon pickup, that it was seen all over the South Pacific Coast Highway where all the hookers the prostitutes were at. Yeah. So his truck was seen up and down there. The Filipino girl he had killed, her boyfriend / pimp, didn't trust him, so he tried to follow Gary and couldn't keep up with it. Now, this is the funny part. Gary had this girl in his house, and the boyfriend said, well, he had an old maroon pickup truck with a rust spot on. And a cop went to school with Gary, said, I know a guy that drives that truck, and he went to Gary's house while the girl he was about to kill was in the house, in the bedroom, and he talked his way out of it and said, no, I didn't go down there last night. I didn't do this. I was home, blah, blah, blah. the whole time he's got this dead Filipino girl in his bed. One of the cops out there talking to him in the front yard. Is that some balls or what?
Well, yeah,
That's
you're
crazy.
saying that he knew Gary in high school or knew him growing up.
Yeah.
The thing is, a lot about Gary was antisocial, whatever, but he always was kind of that quiet kid that people thought was harmless. They did pick on him a little bit here and there, but he still got along with everybody. But that harmless kid, that's why what kept him on the loose for so long is nobody thought otherwise.
No, because people lived in the neighborhood. They'd see him out there cutting his grass and wave at him. He'd wave back. And,
So I just looked up, victims of serial killers that survived.
Yeah.
And something interesting popped up. Why are there no more serial killers? So this article is saying there's no more serial killers. And I know that's a lie.
That's a lie.
A big lie. But they're saying that usually the decline in serial killers has no known single cause, but is attributed to a number of factors. Mike Amadet, the emeritus professor of Radford University in Virginia, attributes the decline in number of serial killings to less frequent due to the use of parole. I'm sorry, I can't talk. Due to the use of parole, improved forensic technology, and people behaving more cautiously. Well, I get all that.
Cameras,
Well, we even have social media and stuff now. So, yeah.
But I still think we've got a lot of serial killers, even the disorganized kind, if nothing else.
Well, you think about now,
look at the most recent that we should talk about is the Gilgo Beach killer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I want to know what's going on with the killings of the indigenous women.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been asked to be on a committee for that, bringing awareness. So I would very much like your help circulating that.
One of the biggest serial killing things ever was the they made the movie about it was Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yes, yes, that's it.
When the group of them wanting to take the oil rights away, and they just sporadically started killing these people.
Yep.
The indigenous people that were owners of this land, and it was pretty crazy. So.
You guys, do you mind if I take a second and tell everybody that commented and things hello?
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Shadows and Spirits Paracon. I'm not sure who that is, but Richard Johnson,
hey,
Pat
Mark,
Patterson.
Thank you for watching.
Yep. Joe, Becky, Sean, Kathy. There's a bunch more. Matt was on here.
Yeah.
Everybody. Yep, you're a man. Everybody, thank you. Even if you didn't comment, I can still see that you popped in and out or whatever you did. So, and keep coming back. What are we doing next week?
And thank you.
What are we doing next week?
What are we doing next week?
Next week, we're going to focus on serial killer victims that survived and how.
Yeah.
Okay.
Victims that survived. I don't want us. I mean, what you guys have said is hit me, and I'm just going to say I think we need to look at the victims that survived. Hey, Mark, thank you for watching, babe.
Mark, thank you.
It's consistently. It seems like last week was the same thing doing Ridgway because of the Bundy, but now as we're talking about these victims, it's almost like we already talk about what we're going to do next week, and we don't even know we're talking about it until we really.
I know it leads us right to it.
Yeah,
but it's so important for people that are survivors to have a voice and for us to understand the message and take it in.
Yeah, I think it's important.
I would love to be able to get somebody who's actually a victim and see if they would.
Victim, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Surviving victim, and see if they would even tell us, or it would be awesome to get somebody to come on. But
besides me,
we have to let them. Yeah, we have to let them know that it's. It's more of an important. We want people to know that you can survive. There is that.
So, Gwen, are you going to look on some of these true crime things and see if you can find one? I'll go on and try to get a list of people that are survivors of serial killer attacks, and then I'll send it out on our group to each one of us who we can cover how they survived and talk about tactics for that.
Yeah, I'll go try to look for some videos of them survivors actually talking about how they
survived. We sound like Scooby-Doo right here. You realize that, right?
I love Scooby-Doo.
I do too.
Okay, who are you, Lee?
Once we get off, I'm gonna get some Scooby snacks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Scooby
I
snack.
love it. I think I'm Velma, big time. I'm not
Who's that
Daphne.
Lee Mansfield?
I'm definitely Scooby.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to be Scooby.
You want to be Scooby? I'll be Shaggy.
Yeah.
You're Fred.
He said,
You're Fred.
I'm Fred. I ain't wearing no damn ascot.
He's got to wear an ascot.
Got to wear the ascot next
I
week.
ain't wearing no ascot. No.
Wear the
You
ascot
guys-
there.
Who called
If
you
we
an
go
ascot?
somewhere for Halloween and
Who
dress
called
up,
me that
that's
guy?
what we should do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
thank you guys for being passionate about something I'm passionate about. I mean,
Yeah.
it means a lot to me.
Good
And
your mama.
I'll do my best to try to talk a little bit more about what happened to me because the person that abducted me was a serial killer.
Oh shit. That
Well, that's
there's
when you're
a-
ready.
there's a-
When you're ready. But
I
guys,
think it'll
everybody
be-
who
I think-
watches, thank you. Thank you very much. Come
Thank you
back.
so much for watching, and please come back. And thank you for supporting our efforts.
Yes, thank you so much. We will see you next week.
See you
Yeah.
next week.
Woohoo.